Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of the Bolt City Podcast. Dave Palet, Josh Palet, Mario Heron joining you on a Sunday. Right now, as we do the show, Sunday Night Football is just about to kick off. We wanted to recap Sunday before Monday's Charger game against the Dallas Cowboys. Again, Monday Night Football, Chargers will host the Cowboys. We will have a show right after that game is over to say exactly where the Chargers are at, what we liked, what we didn't like, and hopefully we're talking about a Charger win. But wanted to start the show off kind of recapping what happened today and how that actually affects the Chargers. And the game that is obviously yet to be played in the AFC West was today, meaning the Raiders and Patriots. We all know Thursday the Chiefs took care of the Broncos. They're done. Raiders game is over. Chargers now, we're waiting for them. Because Raiders took on the Patriots, and I was telling you last week, the Raiders are about to go on a run, and not because the Raiders are good all of a sudden, because the Raiders' schedule is terrible, and there's an opportunity for the Raiders to go on a pretty good run and rack up some wins.
Yeah. So the thing about this is, as a Chargers fan, you want Jimmy Garoppolo to play, and obviously Jimmy Garoppolo gets hurt today. Aiden O'Connell isn't bad, and as a Charger fan, you know that because he played pretty well against our Chargers team. Then again, I think Mario and Dave could throw for 400 yards against our defense on some days. With that being said, Aiden O'Connell is the future of the Raiders if they're smart. If they don't have one of the top picks, they can't get a top quarterback. You want Aiden O'Connell. Jimmy Garoppolo gets hurt today. He gets to play. How do you look at this, Mario? You like me thinking Jimmy Garoppolo, please stay in there. Please play. Don't give this kid a chance. And then he gets a chance. What do you think about it, Mario?
I was just impressed that the Raiders said, all right, it's Michael Mayer Day. Welcome to the league. He finally was a part of a game, it felt like. 5 receptions for 75 yards. Yeah, Jimmy G's out, and this is his second injury stint. And, when it happens second time, and we've kind of seen his history, it's going to happen again. I think if you look at your division and you're the Raiders and you believe you have a chance to take the division in a way, maybe make the playoffs with Hoyer. Just Hoyer's consistent, and he's, I guess, your old reliable. But I think if you're like, you know what, screw it, we have nothing to lose here. Let's just put an AOC. Let's see what happens. I want to be opposed to that. And you, by the way, you have a lot of teams you can mess around with because they have the Bears next, and that secondary is pitiful. So you can go ahead and mess around with that, kind of play that out and see what happens. They have the Lions and Giants after that. I mean, Giants blow. The Lions you'll lose that one, but you'll be able to dance with it and see what happens. Either way, I looked at the Raiders win today and just looked at that team going, it just couldn't be more clear today. It's 2-team division, right?
Okay, you brought up an interesting point about AOC because AOC, we like him. I mean, it's funny.
Why didn't he play today? Why doesn't he get a play today? It makes no sense.
Well, I'm gonna bring it up to you right now because, and I'm gonna sit there and basically defend myself before I sound stupid on this. When I had the Raider game on, I had the volume down on that game and I had the volume up on other games. Okay, so I had the Raider game on the side, and then I had the volume down, but I had the red zone going on the other TV. And so my only guess on why Hoyer played over AOC, it's so funny we call him AOC because Mario brought this up to us. And I do like the kid, Mario. When you said it, I laughed my ass off going, dude, come on. But I think he's actually pretty good. I enjoy watching him play. I'm guessing the reason they went with Hoyer, and I got to go back and listen to the press conference afterwards, is because Hoyer knows the Patriots defense better than anybody, right? He's gone against it in practice a million times. He knows Bill Belichick. I mean, I know there were things that happened in the game today where when I flipped on the volume, they were making a comment saying the reason McDaniel attacked this way is because he's gone against Belichick a million times in practice. He knows he's going to take away Devontae Adams. He's going to take away the team's best player and let you try and beat him. He knows what's going to be open on certain plays. So my guess is Hoyer played because Hoyer gave him the best chance to win against this one team. Now, Josh, I'm guessing in the future, if they're in the same situation, you're going to see AOC.
Yeah, well, you should. And my when I brought it up earlier, my point was a joke. Like, how do you not play the guy that is your possible future, but you play Brian Hoyer? And if you win today, what does it mean? Mario just said it's a 2-team division. I don't get what the point the Raiders are trying to make. Are you trying to suck so you get Caleb Williams or Drake May or one of these top quarterbacks? Or do you want to build with a guy that's already in the building with AOC? I'm completely confused.
I think McDaniel's trying to keep his job. The front office might have a different attitude toward what direction they're going, but if I'm Josh McDaniels, I'm going, hey, I'm going to win because there's no guarantee I'm going to be here in the future when you guys do get that dream quarterback that you want. I don't know.
I mean, the guy's already on the team. The guy's already on the team. Brian, we already know what Brian Hoyer is. He's a great immaculate grid guy. He's played for 12 different teams or whatever. That's for a reason, because he's not that guy. Like AOC, I don't think he's the next coming of Justin Herbert, but I think he is a very good quarterback. I would have thought he gives you a better chance to win than Brian Hoyer does. The Raiders scored 8 total points in the second half. It wasn't like they lit the world on fire.
I don't know. What do you think, Mario?
I mean, the matchup thing makes sense. I could see the why not just throw him out there. Like, you got nothing else to lose. I think that McDaniel's angle is like, that's where it comes to play. Is he's just coaching to save his job. But at the same flip of that coin, you can buy yourself a lot of time if you go, oh, he looks really, really good. He looks good with me. We continue to grow, and here's our beautiful relationship. We're going on the honeymoon right now. And get in the car, we're Grease flying up in the sky. Like, maybe like that could be the case, but I don't know. Like you said, AOC isn't bad, but also think about his first start. Like, his first start, he got sacked, 8 times? So like that could have rattled him up a little bit. So I think maybe that also didn't help going, all right, he's been sacked 8 times, and then we're going to put him in a close game against one of the best defensive minds in football. I don't think that's a smart decision. Now, next week when we go to Chicago and that defense is terrible, maybe we'll think about it.
So a couple things is Josh McDaniels is supposed to be this offensive genius, right? We talked about great coaches in the league a week ago, and he's not in the same category as these other guys. It's one thing to sit there and rack up wins when you're with the Patriots and you kind of don't worry about the score, but you're supposed to be that guy that creates mismatches. As much as we just said, Bill Belichick wants to take away your best player, and I don't know if Devontae Adams was even healthy. He was questionable almost all week long, and then boom, he's able to go. And if you're like me and you had Devontae on your team, you're losing your mind that you aren't throwing him the ball. but at the same time, the Raiders get the win. Now, the most interesting thing about the Raiders is for the first time all season, the Raiders scored more than 20 points in a game, and that was number 21. They scored 21 points. So for an offensive genius to only score a season high 21, that doesn't say a lot. And you have some talent back there, right? You have Devontae Adams, arguably the best receiver in the league. You have Josh Jacobs, led the league in rushing a year ago, who doesn't want to be on the team in the future. But going back to, why would you not go AOC or go for the win today? You better off as a franchise going for that draft pick. I also think you don't want to break the franchise any more than you have, meaning that losing mentality. And there are teams out there that give up as the season goes on. That's one thing, and we'll get into the Cardinals in a little bit because we're going to talk about every game. But the Cardinals have not quit. The Cardinals have one win on the season, and they play hard all the time. I admire it a lot, especially when you see teams that should have won today that all of a sudden didn't come in prepared or not with their best effort, and then they suffered a loss. And so what the Cardinals are doing, I like watching. So for the Raiders, they've been losing for 20 years, just about. They've had 1 or 2 years where they made the postseason, but for the Raiders, can you afford to continue that losing mentality and put that into the young guys that you have? You got to get as many wins, I think, that you can possibly grab.
I'm with you. You should always grab as many wins as you can possibly grab. But I'm with Mario also. If you show that you have a quarterback you can work with and like, this is our future, this is our plan, you can buy into that. I'm not buying into the Brian Hoyer hype train. I don't care how many wins he gets over terrible teams. It's Brian Hoyer at the end of the day. PJ Walker beat the best team in the NFL. I'm not buying into the PJ Walker hype train. It's just not going to happen. You either have a quarterback that's a franchise guy or you don't. And the whole offensive genius thing gets thrown away way too loosely. Like, what do you have to be an offensive genius? Tom Brady as your quarterback? Would I be an offensive genius if I had Tom Brady as my quarterback? Cliff Kingsbury was supposed to be an offensive genius when he was brought over to the Cardinals. He wasn't. So are you telling me every coach is either an offensive or defensive genius or a motivational speaker like Dan Campbell? Why can't you just be a head coach? Why can't you just be a good person? Why do you have to be a genius? Because that's such a bullcrap thing that every coach is an offensive or defensive genius.
Yeah, I mean, if we're being honest, there's honestly 2 or 3, I would say, geniuses right now in the NFL offensively, right? Like, you have Reed, you have Shanahan,
McDaniel,
Miami. Yeah, for me, McVay's still a great coach, but I know people don't want to hear that.
McVay's
there's about 4 right there. Those are my 4, the ones you just named.
Yeah, and then there's a huge, I would say a pretty big drop off. And then there's guys like Ben Johnson that's very smart, still on the come up. Like Shane Steichen. It's very smart guys, but That's it.
You're not calling him a genius. Like, why
Yeah,
why does everybody
exactly.
have to be a genius? You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Every team
yeah.
in the NBA that has 3 good players is the big 3. I'm like, there can only be one real big 3 if you think about it. Not every
Yeah.
team can have a big 3. It's ridiculous, dude. I think these nicknames that get thrown away around for these coaches are crazy.
No, I understand. My point is, in talking about the Raiders for the first 10 minutes of this show, is how far are the Raiders off for having to worry about them? Like, honestly, I'm not worried about the Denver Broncos for 2 to 3 more seasons, maybe more than that. And for the Raiders, I think the Raiders are going to look completely different next year. You won't even know what they are. At least with the Broncos, you kind of have an idea of what might be on that roster. With the Raiders, I have no idea what's going to be on that roster. Max Crosby is going to continue to get older. Devontae Adams is going to continue to get older. Josh Jacobs doesn't want to be on that team next year. So I'm saying, when you look at the AFC West picture, I kind of look at it this way. The Chargers, youth-wise, I think are in pretty good shape. And I look at the Chiefs as, I don't know about you guys, I'm looking at Travis Kelce's age. Going, when Kelce goes, hopefully Mahomes' game changes. And Kelce's in his 30s, and I'm going, how much longer is this guy going to play?
Yeah, I saw a crazy thing, actually. Do you know that Travis Kelce and Rob Gronkowski are the same age? Blew my mind.
That is crazy. That would blow
Crazy,
my mind,
right?
too. That's
They're
crazy.
both
That is
34
crazy.
years old. That is crazy. Travis Kelce's older than people think. He is the best tight end in the league. It's not even close. One thing, if I'm a Chiefs fan, I am concerned about Patrick Mahomes having nobody else to throw to besides Travis Kelce. Worst receiving corps in the NFL. Sky Moore, for some reason, I drafted on one of my fantasy teams. Worst decision in the world. I don't know. Yeah, no idea why I did that. It's bad over there. And if I was a Chiefs fan, I'd actually be concerned because they're winning games. Yeah, like Dave said, you want to win every game you can, but they're not doing it in impressive fashion. Every team in the AFC West has weaknesses. And you can't say that about the Chiefs the last few years, but this year I think you actually can say that.
Their last 3 wins, Jets by 3, Vikings by 7, Broncos by 8. I would say those were all 3 relatively close games.
Yeah.
Though none of those teams will be in the playoffs. None. And like you said, you take away Travis Kelce, their receiving core is terrible. If you fell in the fantasy football trap, I fell in that trap as well with grabbing a Chiefs receiver thinking they're going to be someone. Hasn't came out yet. Look, they got to make a move at the deadline, I think. Like, they got to get a wideout. They have to. They got to get someone suitable. They have to figure it out. Maybe go get Juju back. I don't know. You got to make a move. You got to get someone. It just doesn't make sense to stay with this core. Usually we see the Chiefs getting carried this early in the season by the offense and it's their defense. And let's also remember, new guy calling plays, right? I like to call him the dumb, bald idiot, aka Matt Nagy, who's one of the worst play callers inside of the red zone. And if you don't believe me, watch the Bears from 16 to 20 and then watch Chiefs so far this regular season. It's a little bit relatable. And I'm just saying they need to do something because the Nagy system, even though he has Reed over his shoulder, maybe Reed needs to take more of the reins on it. And the lack of, like you said, receiver play, I think it's really, really going to hurt the Chiefs. And how long can this defense really carry them, Dave?
Forever, because they keep doing it. That's what drives me nuts. They keep doing it. You know what I mean? I keep waiting for it to fall apart, and it doesn't. Again, the scariest thing about the Chiefs is that when you look at that defense, and outside of guys like Chris Jones, everyone on that team's in their first or second year, and they still win. It drives me nuts. That's what I'm saying. I think the biggest chance of the Chiefs falling off would be Kelce retiring. And hopefully that's sooner than later. But I mean, 34 years old. I'm like, Mahomes isn't going anywhere. Quarterbacks have proven they can play into their 40s. Isaiah Pacheco is a very good running back, but come on, these running backs don't play more than 5 years now. So I don't know what the future is for KC. I just don't want it to be one of those things where the AFC West is always about the Chiefs. I want to see it be the Chargers. And there's a lot to talk about. We'll get into it either this week or the following week about the Chargers, what their future is with some of these guys, because the contracts are going in the wrong direction for the Chargers. They're going to have to cut some major stars off this team in the future when you talk about what the roster will start to look like. Oh, the big story today, guys, in the NFL is obviously 2 undefeated teams losing. Okay. And I almost think it's the same story. It's the story of the 49ers go on the road and they lose to Cleveland with a backup quarterback. You look at the Eagles, they go to play the Jets, not far at all travel-wise. For the first time in franchise history in 13 matchups, the Eagles lost to the Jets. It's never happened before. Jalen Hurts looked terrible today. But what bothers me, and I'm not a fan of either team, so it's not like, hey, this is just a bitter guy. I'm not a fan of either team. Any of the 4 teams I'm not a fan of. As a sports fan, as all of us have done this move, we've all at some point in our life dreamt about wearing a professional uniform. I don't care what sport it is. It could be hockey, it could be baseball, basketball, football. We've all dreamt, what would it be like being in that uniform? We've all gone in the backyard, thrown a pass, and said so and so to this guy. We pretend we're that guy catching it or throwing it. When guys don't give 100% in sports, it drives me crazy. It's always been my big pet peeve where I don't understand. And you can't tell me if that was the Super Bowl, the 49ers lose to the Browns, and if that was the Super Bowl, that the Eagles lose to the Jets. That's because you overlooked those 2 teams. You went into those games going cakewalk, and you took the week off easy. And I understand the 49ers had some big injuries. You lost Christian McCaffrey. You lost Deebo Samuel. Still, it's the goddamn Browns with a backup quarterback. How does that happen?
It happens because you just said it right there. You overlook the team that you're playing. Which one is more surprising to you? The Eagles losing to the Jets, or the 49ers losing to the Browns? It's going to be the 49ers losing to the Browns because they had a backup quarterback in, and everybody thought the 49ers were the best team by a mile. The Eagles, to me, have not looked that great all season. I'm not that surprised they lost. I mean, I am very surprised, but not that surprised. 49ers, to me, completely shocked me. Like, I didn't think that would happen at all, especially to a team that looks like they hit on all cylinders all the time. Let me ask you a question, though. Is this more on the players or the coaches? Because to me, attitude is reflected by the head coach. If a head coach, doesn't bring it during the practice week, then I don't think the team will bring it. When I was at Alabama, we played teams like the Citadel, and Nick Saban would make it seem like we were playing the New England Patriots. And I thought that was one of the best traits that he had as a coach. He'd make you get up for everything. Do you think that's more on the players or the coaches, Mario?
Oof. I would say, honestly, I'm going to go with the players. For the one thing, I think their head was getting too big, right? Like you're flying high, you're undefeated, you're 5-0, you're killing everybody. You just killed the Cowboys. Everyone's talking about it all freaking week. Brock Purdy's getting praised as this late round steal. Shanahan's looked at as a genius. CMC is a favorite for offensive player of the year. Nick Bosa is a favorite for defensive player of the year. And then at some point, you got to get a wake-up call. Maybe there's a pattern with these Niners teams and bad weather in the Midwest. Because remember last year when they just dropped the ball against literally the worst team in the NFL last year, and we're like, what the hell just happened? Then they dropped the ball today. Brock Purdy was back to a rookie Brock Purdy, 12 for 27, 125 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, sacked a handful of times. I believe he ended up getting sacked 4 times today, 3 times today. But he was getting hit all day long. He looked hesitant. He looked not as confident. I understand that CMC was gone and Deebo got hurt, but Deshaun Watson was not in for the Cleveland Browns, and there's no reason why they shouldn't have won this game. PJ Walker did not look good. Like you mentioned earlier, he's not like franchise QB. He's not even a 4th stringer, man. I mean, that guy's terrible. He's god awful. But I put this loss in the player. I think this is one of those where the players, it got too big. Their ego got too big. You saw before the game, they were like fighting with them. I think this team was just distracted today and they got popped in the mouth.
I'm with the players on this too. Kyle Shanahan actually was quoted as telling those guys, don't worry about your individual numbers. He said a lot of talk this week with the Niners were players in the locker room talking about their individual numbers, not the team win anymore. And whenever you get in that in any sport, when you're talking about your individual numbers, the team will suffer. And I think Kyle Shanahan saw it coming. He actually saw this disaster possibly happen. The weather thing is always interesting to me, Mario, because I've never bought into it. I know it's easy to say, West Coast teams are soft. But guess what? The guys who play for the Niners, not all those guys went to college in the Pac-12. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like a lot of these guys came from like Iowa and stuff where it snows. Or
it's contagious. It's contagious. It gets in you. Yeah.
So I'm just saying the weather thing always kind of gets on me. But to me, the only guy I guess that was going back to Ohio that with a big name that is saying, all right, I want to put on a show for these guys is probably Nick Bosa because he played at Ohio State. But the Niners didn't look like the Niners at all. Nothing that they did today looked close to what they did against the Dallas Cowboys on national TV. I mean, it's a big regret. If you're the 72 Dolphins, you're excited those 2 undefeated teams lost. They always do that whole champagne crap. But for the Niners, who I thought were a polished team, and we said it all week long, very surprised. For the Eagles, I agree with Josh. The Eagles haven't looked like that polished team yet. And boy, Jalen Hurts had a tough day today.
What do you think the issue is with the Philadelphia Eagles, Dave? Do you think it's Jalen Hurts? Do you think it's the whole team? What do you say is their biggest issue?
For me, it's be honest with you, I think it's the individuality as far as numbers go again. It's AJ Brown. It's the guys, and DK Metcalf does this a lot too. It's funny because those two guys are friends. But man, when you see guys who are throwing their helmets or pointing fingers or screaming at coaches or screaming at quarterbacks, you can say whatever you want. It's a huge turnoff, man. It's a turnoff to the defense. It's a turnoff to everybody. When they go back and they look at that film for guys who weren't even aware, if you watched the Bengals Seahawks game today, it was so much about one receiver not getting the ball, freaking out Geno Smith nonstop, and yet his reads weren't bad, but yeah, of course he was open. But man, you got one guy. I'm like, if I'm Geno Smith, I'm going, dude, I'm trying to do my job. I'm going to get you the ball when I see you, and I'm able to get the damn ball. But man, when we gain 7-8 yards and you still come back and spike your helmet into the ground and cuss me out, this is not about you. Guess what? We do not have a logo of your body on our helmet. That's not what we're doing here. And yet you have these receivers, and it's gone on in the NFL, I understand, since the beginning of time. But damn, man, it seems like it never works out when you have guys that are like that. AJ Brown's the same exact guy. Devontae Smith doesn't do that. Trust me, he wants the damn ball too. Everybody wants the ball. But man, he doesn't do that. It's really frustrating to watch if that's your team, because you're going, we are not moving in the right direction. Team is the key word. The Chargers luckily don't have guys that are pulling that move. And there are a lot of options on the Chargers.
Yeah, Chargers have been blessed with a lot of guys that don't have huge egos over the years. It's actually surprising. It drives me nuts when I play quarterback and guys would freak out. And I'm like, dude, don't you think I want you to get the ball to score? Like, the goal is to score here. Don't you think DK Metcalf wants the ball as much as Geno Smith wants to give him the ball? I mean, everybody knows you're the best receiver on the team. Same with AJ Brown and Stephon Diggs throwing his helmet all the time, man. We all want you guys to do well. It's always driven me nuts. I give kudos to those guys like Tyreek Hill. Actually, they don't freak out about not getting the ball. They want everybody else to score. The Eagles, to me, aren't the team that everybody wants them to be. Everybody wants the Eagles to be this juggernaut like the 49ers. To me, they're on the same level as Detroit Lions. I think literally the Philadelphia Eagles and Detroit Lions are on the same level. Mauro, do you see it that way too, or no?
I thought today, yes, because look, they didn't score at all in the second half. This wasn't a Jets defense. Oh, by the way, that was full strength. A lot of holes in their secondary. Sauce Gardner wasn't even in this game, and you still lost. And the Jets, they do such a good job. They do such a good job of taking 2 steps forward and then 80 steps back. I mean, like, Zach Wilson delivers a beautiful crossing route pass. Wilson gets it inside the 20. And then Alan Lazard just throws a blindside block. That's the most obvious blindside block in front of stripes, literally in front of the ref. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? I mean, that's like going up to a cop and seeing the cop and go, all right, hey, I'm going to go rob the store now. And then you break the window. Like, what are you thinking, dude? And like they continue to do that, and the Eagles just gave him chance after chance. Hurts throws a blatant interception. They let him score, which, I mean, I get it when you have an MVP type of player on the other side, but then he doesn't do anything with it. I think today's loss was a really, really bad loss for the Eagles. Yeah, it was bad for the Cleveland Browns, but I think you have more excuses for that. This game, I don't think you have any excuse for. I mean, you have no excuse to lose this game. I think it definitely does show that I think Lions – I think it shows Lions aren't that far apart from teams like the Eagles. But I think it shows that Eagles, I don't think, sniffed the Lions. And I'm so happy this happened too. I'm sorry I'm going so long, but I love the Philly fans that were like, ha, Niners lost. Like, not even close to our level, like pathetic losers. I can't stand Philly right now. I'm so sick of the Philadelphia Phillies, the Philadelphia Eagles, this cockiness they have. Like, shut your freaking mouth. Holy hell, your baseball stadium's not that sick. Every freaking city would be like that if they'd make that run. I was happy to see them lose. Philly's getting too confident.
All right, so top 3 teams in the NFC. Would you guys say they're the Niners, Eagles, and Lions?
For sure.
You expect one of those teams to be in the Super Bowl?
100%. Who would you add? Anybody else there?
No, I don't. But do you think the Lions are ready now? Like, if the Lions went to the Super Bowl, would you be surprised?
No. I think the Lions are really good. Really good. I mean, talk about a team that has endless weapons on offense. How many guys on that team contribute on offense? It's unbelievable. They got Laporta, who's come out of nowhere. He's one of the top tight ends in the league. You got Josh Reynolds. You got St. Brown. You got 2 really good running backs. I mean, they can beat you a million different ways. I don't think anybody wants to play the Detroit Lions, and their defense is not bad. I always used to rag on their defense for being terrible. Not that bad. I think the Detroit Lions might be a top 5 team in the NFL.
Especially when they haven't even unlocked Gibbs. I know I've said this like so many times, but dude, that's like still the freaking craziest thing of all time. Until we see what he can do, which I think he can do a lot. I think that team's really dangerous. I think the team they don't have the key in the door, but they're like outside, like knocking. And I think it's the Los Angeles Rams. Puka and Cup could be your worst nightmare in the playoffs. And if they get a little of that magic they had 2 years ago, I think they could kind of cause a little chaos in that.
Speaking of, by the way, I'll finish with the Lions real quick. Josh, I think the Lions are at least a year away from being at their peak. I don't think this is the year, but I think they're about a year away from being at their peak. Really good. I think it's too big of a jump that fast to expect them to be in the Super Bowl, considering they've never been in a Super Bowl. But I want to jump to what you just said, Martin, about the Rams. I watched the Rams today with the volume on. That was the game I was watching. You look at the 2 wide receivers. It's amazing how well they played. Again, without Cam Akers since they traded him, right? They got a new running back that had a huge day today, and you're going, boy. You look at Kyron Williams, and you're going 20 carries, 158 yards, and a touchdown. Had a long run of 31 yards. I mean, here you go, the Rams and McVay, and see how long Stafford's going to continue to play. It will be interesting, right? If you talk about the Lions and the Rams, that matchup, because the quarterbacks are traded for each other. All of a sudden, if the Rams are a playoff team, you have Matthew Stafford would have to go back to Detroit if they matched up, more than likely, right? In the playoffs.
Oh.
Like that would be a matchup you'd go, there's a great storyline there.
That'd be a really good storyline. Who do you think would want that win?
I believe they matched up, by the way, this year.
I think they do.
They play, but in LA. I believe it's LA. That game.
I'm not sure.
I'll look it up. I'll look it up for you. But anyway, I believe that they do match up this year. Who wants that more? Goff wants it more.
They do not play.
Want that more. They don't.
They do play or don't play.
They don't play.
Good job, Dave.
Sorry about that.
Great.
Well, the Lions
got hyped up.
Lions come to town to take on the Chargers. I know that. All right, so you guys all hyped up now. It's disappointed everybody at the same time. So those 2 teams, if you're Goff, you were told you aren't good enough. Sean McVay said, I went to a Super Bowl with you. You aren't a winner. You can't beat the Niners. You couldn't beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl when our defense did a great job. You aren't our guy. Guess who I ran into on vacation? Matthew Stafford. Within 24 hours, he was a Ram and you were a Detroit Lion. You sold your nice house up on the hills and now you live in Detroit. Fantastic. Okay. So if you're Goff, you want to prove you are the guy. If you're Stafford, you're at the end of your career anyway. You've already have that Super Bowl ring, and everybody in Detroit still loves Matthew Stafford.
Loves him.
Yeah, loves him.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're Goff, you need that win so bad. Jared Goff to me is still one of the more underrated players, and it's crazy to say that because he was a top pick. You would think a guy that's a top pick can't be underrated. He is, dude. When I watch these Lions game, he's as good as any quarterback in the league at some points, where he's just dicing everybody up. I love watching Jared Goff play. I think the Rams threw him away too soon, but they got what they wanted, right? They got a Super Bowl. I think in a lot of ways, also the Rams are kind of like the Chargers of their own conference, like a team that people aren't, saying they're there yet, but you don't want to play them either. Nobody in the NFC wants to play the Rams. Nobody in the AFC wants to play the Chargers. I think they're similar in a lot of ways. And Puka Nacua, if you can keep it up with Cooper Kupp, that's incredible because nobody saw anybody getting a 5th-round pick making that kind of impact this soon. And Kyron Williams, to me, is the definition of a guy that you just want on your team that just runs the ball. Cam Akers became a huge distraction. And guess what? He's not doing anything with the Vikings. You want good guys on your team. And I think the Chargers give kudos to Tom Telesco. They bring in a lot of good guys. Good for the Rams.
Jared Goff today, 30 for 44 for 353 and 2 touchdowns against a Tampa Bay Todd Bowles defense. It's pretty impressive. Yeah. He keeps proving people wrong. Yeah, look, the Rams, I think they're a slept-on team in the NFC, and they're definitely a team to watch. The team, I think, they played this morning, and I think they're on the downfall, and I think it's getting uglier and uglier. And I kind of hate it just for the coach, and I hate it for the Chargers as well because it gets more and more frustrating. Guys, are the Titans on them downfall? Like, are they?
Downfall.
They suck.
Like, they
suck. That was hard to watch.
I watched it. Did all three of us get up and watch this game? In California,
Unfortunately.
it started at 6:30 in the morning. All right, a couple things about the Titans. We literally, if they would have asked any of us, we would have the Titans more prepared. Didn't we talk the last 2 weeks about the teams that figured out the travel schedule? We did obviously much better. The Titans did not leave until Friday for that
Yeah.
game. Friday. You just saw what happened to the Buffalo Bills. You just saw what happened to everyone else. And for some reason, Vrabel said, this is the plan. We want to get as much practice time in Nashville and then go to London. Dude, it's not the same, man. Everybody knows it. You watch teams that should play better completely go over to London and not look like the same team. Not saying the Titans would have beat the Ravens anyway. The Titans looked absolutely terrible. DeAndre Hopkins, your best offensive wide receiver, was a no-show, basically. They could not get him the ball. Tannehill is god-awful. Like, he should never play again. Even when he comes back healthy, he shouldn't play. They should literally just tank it out because they aren't winning anything in the postseason. They aren't making a run for the Super Bowl. Go ahead and play. And Josh, you live in Nashville, so what is the story with Will Levis? He's not even active. Is he? I'm not saying to be a jerk. Asking sincerely, is he in rehab? Like, what's the story on Will Levis?
I think he just doesn't play. He was at the game today. I mean, he was there. He just didn't play. I have no idea what's going on.
So Malik Willis is terrible. You got to cut ties with him. He has no clock in his head. He has no idea. I'm telling you, at my age and someone who never played in the NFL, I have a better clock in my head than Willis does. He has not learned a damn thing. It's not a matter of looking at one receiver. It's a matter of, for some reason, he thinks he's still at liberty and has 6 seconds to throw the ball. He cannot get rid of the goddamn ball. Hey, look, you're lucky in the NFL if you have 3 seconds to get rid of the ball. We all know it. We all watch the game. But, man, he has no quarterback clock. His timing is terrible. To the point, if I was the Titans and go, look, we're going to have to use you next week, and we're going to have to use you the week after because we don't know when Tannehill's coming back, and we really don't want him back. We're going to sit there, and we're going to go through live practice with our defensive front, and we're going to take 2 of our offensive linemen off the field. And you're going to have to get rid of the ball to get an idea how fast these guys actually get to you. And if Jeffrey Simmons knocks you in the dirt 8 million times, then that's what it takes for you to develop a clock in your head. He has zero idea of how a clock works for a quarterback. He is awful to the point he doesn't belong in the league.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell's going on because Will Levis was talked about as being a top pick in this year's draft, yet he can't get on the field in front of a guy like Malik Willis, who, like you said, does not belong in the NFL. I judge every weekend by how good were the games, and this was a bad weekend. I watched most of the games, and most of them sucked, and I really didn't have a good time doing it. Usually I have a great time, a lot of touchdowns, a lot of good quarterback play. Didn't get a lot of that this weekend. It was very unfortunate. Hopefully tomorrow Chargers light it up. Malik Willis isn't that guy. And, I think about half the quarterbacks that played today, you can't say are franchise quarterbacks. You just watch the games. You're like, this isn't the guy. Same with Desmond Ridder. You're like, holy hell, this is not the guy. Right now, I think it's Tyrod Taylor is the quarterback on Sunday Night Football. He's not the guy. There's a lot of not the guy quarterbacks playing. Malik Willis, I never understood the draft pick. I don't know why you draft anybody out of Liberty unless they're lighting the world on fire like Joe Flacco did at Delaware and Ben Roethlisberger did at Miami of Ohio. Will Levis, to me, though, that's a bigger story. If you can't get in front of this guy, then you're definitely weren't the right pick. I don't understand what's going on with Will Levis.
I just don't understand the Tennessee Titans at all. I mean, arguably 2 years in a row they whiff on a quarterback, and that's pretty hard to do. I think you're wasting years with a very, very good head coach that you don't want his message to get lost because you simply don't have enough talent around him and you're just not winning games. The Ravens gave them chances to win. I mean, they have 9 freaking penalties that extended their drives, and they still did absolutely nothing with it. They were 1 for 9 on 3rd down. Like, they were so bad. And with that loss, they are now last, I believe. Let me check right here. They are now last in the AFC South, and the Jaguars are number 1. But Trevor Lawrence got hurt today. Could be out for a little bit. I got something for you, Dave and Josh. What if the Texans win the AFC South?
Okay, hold on real quick. Let me just finish with the Titans real fast, what you're saying.
Yeah, go ahead.
Anyone who's sitting there saying, I don't watch the game, I'm going to look up the box score. Willis was 4 for 5, 74 yards, quarterback rating of almost 119. Look, that right there does not show anything compared to the sacks he took at the end of the game. When the announcers literally saying, you cannot take a sack here, but I'm going to take 3 in a row. You know what I mean? So don't look at the box score and go, these 3 guys don't know what they're talking about. I'm telling you, it's absolutely terrible. Titans roster's awful. Let's give the new GM a chance. You don't want to sit there and say, I inherited a bunch of garbage. They got a new GM. This is the first year with the team. How much are you going to fix? Just getting the job right now. Let's see where they're at in 3 years. But Mario, I've been thinking about something you said on Thursday, nonstop about this division. You said this is the worst division of all time.
Oh, it's terrible.
But literally, the NFL should almost revamp the divisions just to put a solid team in that division, because there's nobody in that division. Like if all of a sudden those 4 teams just disappeared off the map, Jacksonville, Houston, Indianapolis, and Tennessee, nobody'd even care. If they went back to 28 teams and 4 teams are just gone, they have no fan base. Like, it's not a matter of, you're the Chiefs are hosting let's say the Texans or the Titans. Man, their crowd travels. It's going to be crazy when the Titans fans get here. It never happens. Those 4 teams are just don't matter. They're irrelevant in the NFL. And I understand the Colts have a long history, but they even have a better history when they're the Baltimore Colts. And that's a long time ago. That's over 40 years ago. They're all 4 of those teams are garbage to the point, man, they got to put a big name team in that damn division to make that division relevant. You're right.
Or rivalry team.
Well.
Make it a rival. Someone hate each other.
Oh my God, dude, they don't, right? It's just like they just play. Remember Thursday night they used to always do Jacksonville against the Titans, and they wore all those crazy uniforms. And you're like, what the hell am I watching? This is the best you could do for Thursday night. So yeah, going back to you, I think your question was, are the Texans the best team in the division? They might be. And look, man, as Josh has said, Desmond Ridder, I told you he was crap. Told you Love was crap. Let me tell you, I missed on Stroud. That dude is fun to watch. Like, I really enjoy watching him play, and I think the Texans are headed in the right direction. And I hate everything about the Houston Texans. Yeah. Just because
for the sake,
Houston, yeah,
Houston's my least favorite city, big city in the United States. Fun fact.
Me too.
Fun fact. I want CJ Stroud to be good, and I want the Texans to be good because the NFL needs the NFC South to do something. It is the worst division, or AFC South, excuse me. They needs the AFC South to do something. That is the worst division, the most boring division. When you watch NFL football, you're like, oh, dude, Ravens, Steelers. Like, I'm going to tune in because these teams actually hate each other, You watch the Giants and the Eagles. Like, I'm not a fan of this division, but these teams hate each other. There's not one point ever where I'm thinking Colts, Texans, I got to tune into this. It sucks. Every time it sucks, man. I hate it. It's never fun. Every time I see that on my TV, and then I get mad at CBS thinking, why the hell do you put Jaguars Titans on my TV? I hate it. And Dave said they try to make it the Thursday night thing, like AFC South, they're going to entertain you on Thursday night. It was the worst Thursdays I've ever had in my life when they did that a few years ago. I hated every second of it. I don't get it. I don't know why the AFC South is so boring. I want CJ Stroud to continue to do well because the NFL needs it. This division's so freaking boring. Proud of him, man. I never saw it coming. I'm glad that DeMeco Ryans understands that you can like really groom a quarterback and give him confidence by putting a team around him and making him the captain in his first year and not giving him too much. Like the Panthers are making Bryce Young drink out of the fire hose over there. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, no kidding.
Good for the Texans, man. I hope they continue to win.
I hope so too. And I really do think they can maybe sneak and take this division. Like if Lawrence just misses the next couple of weeks, Texans do kind of have not the easiest schedule. Panthers, which is an easy win, but then you go Buccaneers, Bengals, Cardinals, Jags, which is not the best. But I don't think it's out of the ordinary for them to take it. I mean, it seems like IR is done for the year. I mean, it kind of makes sense. I could see it. It's in. If they're driving, there's an exit, and the exit's 2.4 miles. No, 6.9 miles away, and then you're just wondering if they're going to get there or not. So, by the way, fun fact for you guys. Guess the line for Chargers Chiefs next week. It just loaded up.
Okay, you want to go, Josh?
3.5 Chiefs.
I'll go 4.5.
5.5.
Okay. And the thing is, you just said the Chiefs don't blow guys out. They just don't.
They what to other guys?
Yeah, they don't blow them
out.
One
more time.
Oh, okay. All right.
Got it.
Hey, so do you think the Dolphins are the second best team in the AFC from what they did today? Were you impressed? They got down real quick and then they bounced back and did what they always do. Do you think the Dolphins right there with the Chiefs, or do you think they're better than the Chiefs, Mario?
Right now, the city of Chicago is on fire, apparently, because we have 4 freaking police cars going by. So shout out to them. I think they're clear second.
Clear second.
I want to say first, just because they seem the most balanced at the moment. Like they do seem balanced, but then that Bills loss rings in my ear. I was like, remember that, remember that. At the same time, like, are the Chiefs the clear number one right now, though? Like, are they really the clear number one? Like, I don't almost put them 2 or 3 before like I even consider them one. What about you, Dave? Do you have them number
Okay.
one?
No. Yes, I do. I do.
Okay.
I don't have the Chiefs at 1. I have the Dolphins at 1. Okay.
Okay.
So here are the games I really want to see this year. Okay. If they match up, and obviously in the playoffs, I really want to see the Dolphins and Chiefs play. Like I'm really looking forward to seeing Andy Reid going against another guy that's considered an offensive genius. Also, Tyreek Hill, I think, performs a great storyline there. I would love to see that game in Miami, believe it or not, because I think it does make a difference. It's like I think when the Dolphins played the Bills in Buffalo, I think it made a difference. I'm kind of curious to see what the Bills Dolphins look like in Miami. I want to see the 49ers and Eagles. I think the 49ers win that, but I do want to see a 49ers Eagles matchup. And I want to see a Super Bowl. If the Chargers aren't in it, I want to see a Super Bowl with the Dolphins facing either the Eagles or the Niners. Okay. And the thing is, obviously, there's a quarterback connection there when you have Jalen against Tua because Tua took his job where Jalen had a transfer. There's a hell of a storyline there. But I also want to see Mike McDaniel, who obviously Shanahan and him work together. And there are guys who are on that Dolphin team that used to be 49ers. I want to see that matchup. There are so many good storylines there that all start with the Miami Dolphins. I've seen enough of KC. KC does enough to win, and look, that's a big damn deal. But as far as the excitement factor, where you could take someone like my wife who doesn't watch football and put her in front of the TV and go, I'm entertained for 3 hours. And if the Dolphins are playing against the Niners, to me, that's a hell of an entertaining game. I'm kind of curious to see what it would look like.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think all those matchups you pointed out right there would be great. It's funny when I watch these games, I feel a certain way about certain teams. When the Dolphins are on, I'm like, oh, I can't change the channel. This is great. I used to feel that way about the Chiefs. I don't like the Chiefs, but I'd be like, dude, they're about to do some cool stuff. Watching that Broncos Chiefs game was actually painful. Like it was one of the worst games I've seen all year. Eagles to me are kind of like that, really boring. I hope the Dolphins take it over because they're good for the NFL. The 49ers are usually good for the NFL. Today was extremely boring. I like fun teams to watch. That's why I love watching the Chargers. I don't understand how good teams like the Chiefs can make it look so ugly. Like when Travis Kelce's not catching the ball, they're like the hardest team in the league to watch. And I don't think that's sustainable. I think the Dolphins are actually the best team in the AFC, going back to my original question.
Oh, the Bengals coming in, putting in, I think, is it 2, 3 wins now in a row? No, just 2 wins in a row.
2 in a row. Yep. I
Is
told you
that
on Thursday, the Bengals are
yeah.
back. And the
Do you
reason
think they're
is
all the way back?
I think they're back. And the
Okay.
reason Josh shaking his head, no, I'll tell you why, and I'll let Josh tell me why I'm wrong. The Bengals are back because Joe Burrow's calf is healed. And for the first time, as I said, he wasn't listed on the injury report 2 weeks ago. Every time he was listed on the injury report, guess what? He was really injured. He did have that issue as far as throwing, and it did affect everything that they were trying to do. I think the Bengals are back. I think the Bengals, when they needed to, stepped up today, and I think the Bengals are a team that has been there before. Mara, you picked them to go to the Super Bowl before the season began. Didn't think that was a crazy pick. I picked them to win that division. I think Joe Burrow and the Bengals are back.
They're not back. Joe Burrow had 185 yards today. Does that sound back to you? Is that back? 185
Well, I don't
yards?
know. What do you consider Seattle? Is Seattle a below average team?
No, I don't think Seattle's a below average team, but the Bengals are playing at home. Joe Burrow is supposed to be the second best quarterback in the NFL. You'd expect more than 185 yards. If it's Joe Burrow, the guy that we're thinking of that's back, he's not back. Joe Burrow doesn't do that. Come on, man. Joe Mixon had like 38 yards. You can't say the Bengals are back. There's nothing about the Bengals. Nothing about the Bengals today was impressive.
How did the Bengals pull that win off?
I get 2 words how the Bengals pulled it off. Geno Smith. That's how they pulled it off. That's what happened today. There's no way you can say the Bengals aren't impressed you today. Good win. Seattle's a good team, I think. Good for the Bengals, but you can't say Joe Burrow's back yet.
We're gonna find out if they're back because after their bye week, they face Niners and the Bills. So if they want to be back, they better be back right now because the storms are coming.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. If you want to be an elite team, you got to beat elite teams. That's just the way it goes. It's that simple to show what you are.
Yeah.
But for me, I think Cincinnati knows what it's like the last few years. It's not the old Bengals where they have no idea and the stage is too big. There's no stage that is too big for Cincinnati.
Yeah. By the way, our picks this week.
Terrible. I'm guessing. Terrible. Yeah.
Terrible. Really bad.
It's all right. We're due. We made everybody money for a long time.
Yeah.
None of you guys sent us anything to reward us. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think some of you guys have been mowed Mario, but that's fine.
Yeah. Shout out to that guy. That was really funny. For people that don't know, there's a fan that I should probably read it. I'll read his name. He sent me a Venmo, which was really funny. It was $6.99. I mean, and 90 cents. If you get that joke, you should. That was a pretty good one. Am I locked on my Venmo? Oh no. Wait, hold on. Got it back. Wait, no, I didn't. All right, Venmo's problem right now. But shout out to that guy. I have a little problem with the Venmo, but yeah, shout out to that guy. That was fun. Good for him. Hope you guys enjoyed the poems.
There you go. All right, so jumping into the game tomorrow night. Okay, so the line, we talked about it before. The Cowboys were favored. Cowboys, Mario, still favored going into the game?
Yeah, by 1.5 though. So it was at 2.5, 2 for a little. So it went 2.5, now to 1.5. So somewhere, some type of money was coming in, and it was on the Bolts, not the boys.
And I feel comfortable still with that pick. Yeah, I still feel comfortable with that. I think the Chargers are the better team. It'll be interesting what the Chargers do. Again, no Mike Williams. What adjustments have they made in 2 weeks? At the same time, which receivers actually make a difference? Who gets the ball from Justin Herbert? How does it work? Austin Eckler's 100% healthy. There's no cap on Eckler, they said, for this game. They're going to go in like he's always been there and everything's ready to go, which is a great sign if you're a Charger fan. At the same time, defensively for the Chargers, it looks like, right, the front seven maybe's figured this out. It's the guys in the back that we're kind of concerned about what's going to happen as far as their coverage goes. We all said on the show on Thursday, CeeDee Lamb is supposed to be a number one. Cowboys haven't done a good job of getting the ball. I think if you're a fan of the Dallas Cowboys and you're listening to this podcast, you want to know, how does our team look different than they did against the Niners when they were terrible last Sunday night? Here's the deal. We keep hearing stories that Mike McCarthy has told his coaching staff, nobody goes home, that you guys are living in the facility. We are changing our offense this week. I've never heard of changing an entire offense in 1 week and everybody being on the same page. It seems like you're going to see a ton of penalties of the Cowboys of maybe 2 guys in motion at one time or guys offsides. They want to do a hurry up. They want to do misdirection. They want to do a lot of different things that no one has seen before. Good luck fixing an entire offense in a 7-day span. Again, I like the Chargers for so many different reasons. And of course, as we said when the schedule came out, it's the Kellen Moore revenge game. I expect to see stuff on the Chargers side that we have not seen all season long, that Kellen Moore has been hopefully holding back in your mind of going, this is what I'm going to use in the playoffs. And this is what I'm using against the Dallas Cowboys, because someone told me I wasn't good enough and I had to leave Dallas, where I thought maybe I was in line to be the new head coach one day. And at the same time, I had to get out of that state where I didn't have to worry about state income tax and go to California, and I pay a ton of money in taxes.
Yeah, I love everything you just said. Kellen Moore revenge game. Josh Palmer out of nowhere is banged up. He's questionable for this game. He might play, might not play. My guesses would be he does play. If he doesn't play, QJ, baby. It's his day. Tomorrow's his day. QJ, big QJ day. So hopefully he has a good day. I want to see some trick plays, like Dave said. Some tricks in his bag. Let's see it, man. Double reverse pass. You never see those. Double reverse pass.
Little with Eckler's first game back, 2-time touchdown score plus 240.
Love it.
I do too.
Yeah.
Good bet.
For him to score anytime, it's minus 220. Heavily juiced. So.
All right, Quentin Johnson, real quick. Let's do a guess here. How many receptions we're looking at on Monday night?
2.
5 catches for 40 yards.
If you were setting the line, Mario, what would you set the line at for Quentin Johnson? Over under
15 yards.
Of yards? Oh.
Damn it.
Like damn near. Like 15. I'd probably like around 15. Receptions, I'd do 1.5.
1.5 for 15 yards. 100%.
Yeah. Catch a screen pass. Good for you. Because Eckler's going to get a lot. And I think Everett's going to get more passes than him.
He deserves it.
For sure.
Yeah. I might sprinkle a little Darius Davis actually touchdown. A little trick play with him.
Ooh. I like it.
Did you go? There you go.
Flirt with me, baby.
Do you catch the Raider game today, Mario, where Carter dropped that wide open pass? Would have been a touchdown.
Checks out. By the way, shout out to Mac Jones for taking the sack and ruining the cover. Shout out to that guy. Yeah.
He didn't have much time. Again, I don't know how bad Mac Jones is. He's pretty bad, but that Patriots
pretty
team
bad.
is awful. By far the worst roster. I mean, the Titans roster is better than the Patriots roster. The Patriots roster is insanely bad. Anyway, we'll be back tomorrow night. Okay, looking forward to it again. Monday night, if you're watching on Monday, we'll be back on Monday night right after the game. We're going to break down this Charger game. I'm telling you guys, if they lose this game, I'm going to feel the same way I did after they lost to Jacksonville. Like I am counting on a win like you wouldn't believe, and I'm never like that during the regular season. This is a win game for the Chargers, and it shapes up in a good situation for them to go into the rest of the year. They lose this game, you're looking at basically, 500 football, maybe a couple of games above. They win this game, they put themselves in a great position. It's big. You can't sit there and say it enough. This game against the Dallas Cowboys is a really big game. One of those games, guys, where I'm going to be nervous like all day Monday. It's all I'm going to think about from the time I wake up tomorrow morning is Monday Night Football. I don't think I've been like that in years. Like, I'm really excited about this regular season game.
Waiting all day for Monday night.
Yeah, I am waiting all day for Monday night. I tell you what, and you guys think I'm crazy here when I say it, and we'll sign off, but I'm more excited about this Charger Cowboy game than next week's game against the Chiefs.
You're crazy.
Yeah, you're on crack.
Yeah, I am. Well, I've seen the Chiefs Chargers a million times. It never goes our way. Okay, but Chargers Cowboys, I'm excited about this game. Monday Night Football is going to be a lot of fun.
Hey, and if they win, tweet your favorite. Tweet one word at Dave. And if they lose, you tweet at Josh and I one word. And you can make it explicit, but we won't read it on air.
We won't read it on air, but that's easy. Yeah, go ahead. The Twitter
you can even flirt with Josh.
Across the bottom of the screen right now.
Yeah.
there you go. All right. So again, thank you for watching on YouTube. Again, subscribe, leave comments. We like it all, and we will see you on Monday. Also, thanks again, Odyssey Bolt City Podcast. If you're listening that way, we appreciate that as well. For Mario Heron, Josh Palet, I'm Dave Palet. We'll talk to you in 24 hours.